episode 17 of One Man's Opinion. Today I am reviewing the new musical Here You Come Again, written by Vilanch, Gabriel Barre, and Tricia Paoluccio, featuring songs written or recorded by Dolly Parton and others, directed and choreographed by Gabriel Barre, currently running through August 27th at Goodspeed Musicals' The Terrace Theater at 33 North Main Street in Chester, Connecticut.
Here you come again, looking better than a body has a right to, and shaking me up so that all I really know is here you come again, and here I go, here I go, here you come again, darling, here you come again, darling, here you come again, here you come again.
Dolly Parton has always been on the fringe of my musical interests, but someone whom I have significant appreciation for her philanthropic efforts, particularly in supporting education. So when it comes to Here You Come Again, it isn't a jukebox show where I'm going to be familiar with all the songs. Thankfully, my wife, whom I didn't know was as big of a Dolly Parton fan as she is, sat next to me the entire show fully engaged and singing quietly along the whole way through. Observing her became kind of a metric for what an engaged audience can be like for Here You Come Again, especially considering that most of the audience on opening night were about 20 years older than us and were not exactly spring chickens anymore. Though yes, Here You Come Again is a Dolly Parton jukebox show, and the music will naturally appeal to audiences who grew up with her music. Her first album came out in 1967. The book of the musical is geared more towards the younger Gen X, older millennial crowd. It's May 2020, and Kevin, played by Matthew Risch, a gay aspiring comedian in his early 40s, has left New York City after he and his boyfriend break up to return to his home to Longview, Texas, where he has isolated himself in the top floor of his parents' home as the COVID-19 pandemic kicks into full swing. The only comforts he finds is in listening to his Dolly Parton records. There is an odd element that felt a little off, which is his parents are apparently conservative. The show opens with the sound of Sean Hannity piping up from the downstairs living room, but they are also being extremely cautious about the spread of COVID-19 and have become rather stringent about cleanliness. Considering the position conservative pundits took on the pandemic, I wouldn't have thought his parents would be all that cautious about things. It is early though, so maybe they were being cautious for the time being. Really, it's probably just a writing ploy, so Kevin's parents never actually come up to his room and have to be a part of the show. I love Kevin's room. It's exactly what a bedroom trapped in time would be like for a boy growing up in the 1980s. From the A-Team and Space Ghost bed sheets to the Game Boy and Connect 4 shelved on the wall. There are even some vintage blue-bound Hardy Boys books tucked under a table. It's a room where time forgot, as Kevin likely grew older and these things slowly got stored away, and Scenic designer Anna Louizos did a fantastic job. The conceit of Here You Come Again is probably the weakest part of the show. One evening, after fretting over his breakup with his boyfriend and the possibility of losing his job at Caroline's, a comedy club in New York City that actually did permanently close during the pandemic, he has a visitation by the queen of country music herself, Dolly Parton, played by Tricia Paoluccio. Of course, it isn't really Dolly Parton, it's more like a spiritual visitation. Granted, Dolly isn't dead, so we can't go that route. It's more like a manifestation stemming from Kevin's subconsciousness. Apparently, that manifestation stems to also breaking the fourth wall and acknowledging the audience. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. The parameters of how this works isn't very clear beyond a quick quip by Dolly saying that it is all in Kevin's mind. The thing is, it only applies some of the time, and it feels like the audience is sometimes in the room and other times not. What might work better is having only Dolly aware of the audience, as it keeps the reality of the environment while keeping the fantasy of the intervention. But at the same time, since it is all apparently in Kevin's head, maybe we manifest as well into his reality as necessary. It's a bit confusing and could be explained a little better. Dolly is there to offer advice through her music to help Kevin get past the plethora of pain he is currently dealing with as Kevin wallows in sorrow. I think Kevin's wallowing goes a bit too long. I don't know if it's the book, the direction, or Matthew Risch's acting, or a combination of all three, but his depressed energy really brings the show down during the first act, as Kevin resolutely sits in his misery most of the time. I mean, his musical idol pops out of a life-size poster, which, by the way, is an excellent effect by Louizos and lighting designer Alyssandra Docherty, and starts interacting with him. I would think that for the first 30 minutes of this experience, Kevin should be on cloud 9. Maybe then have him start to waffle on his commitments as elements from his life try to pull him back down for the second act. Aside from Risch playing Kevin so overwhelmingly depressed in the first act, the performances are good. He comes around with a bit more energy the second act, which is great and helps bump the energy up. Paoluccio is almost a dead ringer for Dolly vocally and embodies the tenderness and wittiness of Dolly Parton. What's nice is that since Dolly Parton is 77 at the time of this review, for future recasting or other productions, you can arguably make her any age you want. This is Kevin's fantasy. It doesn't matter if you make her look like Jolene-era Dolly, which is before songs like 9 to 5 were written, because it's the embodiments of Kevin's love for her that comes to life, not Dolly herself, which allows flexibility in that regard for whomever you want to cast, if she's got the voice and build for the role. Here You Come Again has some real strengths. The premise is delightful, and seeing songs like Coat of Many Colors, Islands in the Stream, and Love is Like a Butterfly in a way that isn't forced into the narrative is great. There should be some more tidying up around the use of fourth wall breaks, and I would like Kevin to take more of a journey in the first act. If you're a Dolly fan, you should definitely enjoy Here You Come Again. If country's not your thing, maybe not. But if you're open to a simple musical about dealing with the compounding stresses of life in a singular time, Here You Come Again should be a delight. But I'm only one man's opinion, so be sure to leave yours in the comments below. If you'd like to see Here You Come Again, I'll leave a link in the description. Also in the description will be a link to my Patreon page. Thank you to all the patrons who are already supporting me, and I welcome anyone who wishes to contribute. You can also support my channel by liking, sharing, and subscribing, and click the notification bell to be alerted to future reviews. My next review will be Sharon Playhouse's production of Oliver. Thank you for watching, and I will see you at the theater.